And then, nung December po, hindi ko na po nakita yun. Sorry po.
Okay lang po, Miss Monique.
Tapos, ang sabi niya sa akin, at sinabi niya sa akin, hindi ko na po pwede makita yung anak ko. And I want to apologize for being emotional and bringing my son here. Because I just really want to feel in, I just really want to feel in the trauma that I'm really longing for my son. That for how many months he has been separated with me. That I felt that I am not a good mother. But I did everything to survive.
I understand, Madam Chair, what the good senator is worried about. Baka may nawawalang bata, baka
Basta you can
fully
assure us now.
accounted
You
right
can
now.
fully account the 127 plus the one adult. You know their names, where they are.
And we also brought in the good people from the NBI to help us make sense of the situation. So fully accounted for, fully inventoried.
And the necessary papers or folders are there in their places where they are now. Yun na.
The folders
So
that,
kung gumalaw sila, it will follow them.
the folders that are important are with us.
Okay. Thank
Salamat po,
you. Thank you,
Asek
Sec.
Madanay.
Okay, first off, Your Honor, if you're going to speak about trauma, we have a lot of stories that we want to tell the people here about what really happened. And I'm getting emotional because I can't understand why everybody's focusing on papers when the lives of the children who were there are still not okay. The children we are dealing with, you would say that they're less than 10, they're like less than 5, but still, if you would listen to their stories, it is horrible. There's no way that this should be happening to children in a facility that was supposed to be taking care of them.
Basta bata po, tayo dapat po ang bahala. We always say it takes a village to protect a child. But more importantly, it takes a village or a whole country to protect children.
Magandang araw, Pilipinas. Ito po, Sinip Castillo, para dito sa ating bagong programa na Issued Kaluskos at kasama natin si Mama Erwin Corpus. Mama, magandang umaga sa iyo.
Magandang umaga.
Nako, nakakalungkot yung opening mo, Mama. Bakit kaya, Mama?
Yung ating mga isang kababayan natin, hindi ko maiwasan tumulo ang aking luha.
Nako,
Dahil
nag-emotional
sa
ka na rin, ha?
kalagayan, na hindi natin malaman kung sadya nga bang sila'y tinutulungan o sila'y ginagamit lamang.
Yun, nako, yun.
Kaya magandang kasamang NEP at sa lahat ng ating mga taga-subaybay, magandang magsilbing eye-opener etong ating tatalakayin ngayong umaga na dapat mapanood ng lahat ng ating kapwa mamamayan.
Yun, ang napakinggan natin, napanood natin, Mama Erwin, yung may kaugnayan doon sa dalawang ina na nagpaampon ng kanilang anak doon sa isang bahay ampunan, no? At yun nga, medyo nakakalungkot dahil gusto nila makita, ayaw ipakita sa kanila nung Gentle Hands Incorporated na bahay ampunan dito sa Quezon City.
Na napakaganda ng pangalang Gentle Hands, parang Gentle Hands.
Oo, Gentle Hands.
Palang kamay.
Yun pala.
Hindi natin masasabi kung sadya nga bang sila'y matulungin o gusto lang nilang magpakitang sila'y matulungin sa kapwa-tao na
Pero,
sa kabila noon, kanila nagagamit para sa pansariling kapakanan.
Yun! Umpisa pa lang, Mama. Nangangaluskos ko na.
At
ano pa?
para sa lahat ng ating mga taga-subaybay, may kasabihan na etong mapapanood natin, etong tatalakay natin to, silbing aral sa lahat ng mga gusto magpamilya o mga binata't dalaga.
Naku!
Abay, kasamang masarap ang gumawa ng bata.
Iya na nga ba sinasabi ko?
Maligaya ang lahat. Pero ang hindi iniisip ng karamihan, lalo na sa panig ng mga kalalakihan,
Naku po!
sundot lang ng sundot, pero pagdating sa huli, iiwanan yung babae, ang kawawa yung babae na kung hindi niya malaman kung paano niya bubuhayin ang mabubuo sa kanyang tiyan na dapat magbago ang mga kalalakihan. Huwag nating gamitin sila'y parausan lamang.
Nako, pabira.
Yan eh.
Ang tinding-
Para huwag matulad dito sa tatalakay natin to.
Yon, ang tinding kaluskos nun. Okay, sige. So, yan po, umpisa pa lang yan. Panoorin natin itong Senate hearing na ito na nangyari noong kamakailan lamang sa Senado. Panoorin natin, Mama.
Yeah.
Para po sa Council for the Welfare of Children, and I'm sure our good secretary from the DSWC and the DSWD and our colleagues from the NACC would agree, bawat bata po mahalaga. We are not concerned by supposed or perceived absence of due process because we are lawyers here. We know that due process is just being given the right to be heard. And I think the good secretary has established that very thoroughly, that due process still ongoing. But let us talk about these children. There are violations before. That's why we need, the secretary has been repeatedly stating the totality. Let us not compartmentalize the focus of this hearing to the actual taking. We should examine the totality of the circumstances which, based on the information that we've heard, started long before, the violation started long before, and even our good friends from the Quezon City LGU stated, there was even a past case about building code violations. So, Madam Chair, we commiserate with the NACC because I know those disruptive cases. I've read all the files from the DSWD and the NACC, and they will be more than willing. And even the CHR has their own files with pictures. And I'm sure they are willing to share this with the committee. Let us feel for the children. Let us not dwell much upon papers, semantics. This does not concern the Council for the Welfare of Children.
And we have the stories and we can tell all of them. In relation to the claim that yes, there were adoption fixing, as we would call it loosely, let's say, with American families, we have a letter from one of the prospective adoptive parents who actually got matched and entrusted with a child. And this parent has documentation to actually establish that a communication was done in order to set the child that was matched to him. So this is not just a whim that we came up with. This is actually a complaint that we have received and is part of the ongoing investigation. And also on the 149, we want to establish that when we went there personally, I was there with Undersecretary Janela. We were sitting at the table. We were talking to Charity. 149 came from her. She said that at present I have 149 children here. So that 149 came from her. We did not come up with that number, Your Honors. So we just want to emphasize that. And unfortunately, I think the attorney was not there during that meeting, but we were there. So, but there are other details that we can probably discuss later on when we get to the topic, because I think there are still other matters we need to go through first before we reach the disruptions, but we would gladly discuss them with you. We hope, fervently we hope, and Undersecretary Janela hopes that by the time this hearing ends, we can at least find a way to help these children, because if there's one thing we're asking for, please do not bring them back to gentle hands. Thank you.
Well, that's findings and especially recommendations that the committee may make. But pinaalalahanan din ako ni Sen Coco, at least yung number settled na natin earlier. We are talking about 127 children plus one adult. And I see
Briefly lang, Madam Chair. The 149 on a separate visit came from them when they told me also. Ibig sabihin, the facility itself doesn't understand how many kids they have. Goes to show the case management issue that we are raising with them. You don't even know precisely how many kids are in with you. Kasi they lost track. They'll take one kid, they'll move another kid, they just keep on shuffling. That's case management. Two, when we take our oaths, we take it seriously. Undersecretary Orden, Undersecretary Romaldes, Undersecretary Jam, Undersecretary Bragas, they were there in that morning meeting the day after we failed to serve the order. In that meeting, it was not the good lawyer who's with us, but rather her predecessor, together with Ms. Graff. They promised a smooth transition. They said, we will in fact help you talk to the kids, which was the old plan the night before. But unfortunately, they spoke to the kids, but the difficulty in securing the case file was hard. And I'll put it on record right now. Sa sobrang frustrated ko ho, I called the NBI already. I called the law enforcement agency already, and that's when things got smoother for us. I do not have police powers. So that's why when left to no device, my first instinct was we need to bring the proper authorities already. Undersecretary T was also notified. See, it's already getting out of hand when we can't account for the kids the same degree that the good Senator Pimentel is worried about. We were losing sleep during 1 month, ulit-ulit asking for case folder, asking for inventory. We were not being cooperated on until the NBI came to the picture by the name of Deputy Director Noel Bocaling. That's when things got smoother.
Basta bata po, tayo dapat po ang bahala. We always say it takes a village to protect a child. But more importantly, it takes a village or a whole country to protect children.
Let me just again say this for the record. You know, one of their donors, not main donors, happens to be my sister-in-law. So you can imagine the call I got from a sister-in-law who doesn't get involved with politics. But she's a donor. They can check their records. For me, what's important is the cutoff when I visited. When I saw with my own eyes the danger. Unless my standards are higher, but who says we can't raise the standards higher for the protection of children? Tawagin na akong OA, pero para sa bata, gagawin ko yun. Because that's our mandate. Number 2, ma'am, the department also takes cognizance that vulnerable rin ang mga kababaihan. We have 2 mothers here right now who have prior trauma. We keep on talking about trauma ng bata. Tama po yun. Tama ho yun. Pero palagay ko dapat na rin ho natin tignan yung trauma sa mga magulang. Meron ho tayong 4 na nawalay sa kanilang mga anak. Yung isa 3 years despite a positive PICAR. 3 years. Because the executive director started creating her own rules. If you will allow me, ma'am, to play that video to substantiate my statement, I will in a bit. Pero the committee is about women, children. And I think the primary care provider of a child is not the state. It's not an adoptive house. It's a loving mother who wants the child back. Beside us right now, katabi ho natin kanina, 2 magulang who have their harrowing stories. Kaya nga ho, if we go into the venture of the other 5 competencies, let's talk about case management and why mothers were prevented from being with their children when the state already said, pwede mo nang kunin yung anak mo.
Thank you, Secrex. Yes, and
Yes,
Magandang tanghali po. Ganito po yun, ma'am. Nung iniwan ko po yung anak ko, actually, wala naman po talaga akong balak na dalhin yung anak ko doon. Since single mother po ako, nag-recommend po si Bahay Kalinga sa akin. So, nag-decide po kami for temporary shelter lang po ng 6 months to 1 year. Tapos po, bago ko po naipasok yung anak ko doon, may usapan po kami na pwede pong dumalaw. Pwede pong dumalaw tuwing Webes. And then po, nung sinunod ko po yun, tapos may pinirmahan po kaming mga agreement, nung pagkalagay ko po dun sa anak ko, medyo pagpasok po, nag-antay po kami noon simula 10:00 ng umaga hanggang 4:00 po ng hapon kay Ma'am Charity. Pagdating po ni Ma'am Charity, sinabihan niya na po ako ng hindi maganda. Bali, parang ano na po ako, minaliit na po ako. Bali sabi niya sa akin wala daw pong kwentang nanay, hindi daw po ako basta marami po siyang masasakit na sinabi sa akin. Tapos, and then, nung naiwan na po yung anak ko doon, dumalaw po ako mga bandang December. Kasi nga po, may policy po sila na 3 months na kailangan makabisita po. And then, dumalaw po ako noong December. Hindi po ako inallowed ni Ma'am Charity na dumalaw. December po, 2019. Kasi November 2019 ko po inilagay yung anak ko doon for temporary shelter. Kasi may trabaho po ako that time. And then, nung December po, hindi ko na po nakita yun. Sorry po.
okay lang po, Miss Monique.
Tapos, ang sabi niya sa akin, sinabi niya sa akin, hindi ko na po pwede makita yung anak ko kasi may pending cases po ako na isinampa sa kapatid ko. Tapos, nung nung na-dismiss ko na po yung pending, yung case na sinasabi ni Ma'am Charity, may sinabi na naman po siya sa akin na kailangan ko daw po mag-undergo ng psychological assessment. Tapos daw po tapos tawag dito, ng PICAR. And then pumayag po ako nun. Tapos, simula po nung December 2019 to November 2021, hindi ko nakita yung anak ko. Bale, nakita ko na yung anak ko December 2021 na po.
So 2 taon nyo hindi nakita yung anak nyo.
Yes po, ma'am. Tapos, ang masakit pa nito, ma'am, nung hindi ko nakita yung anak ko, nag-update ako sa kanila. Tapos, nung nagsabi sa akin si Ma'am Charity na okay na po yung PICAR ko, pinapunta po nila ako ng December. Tapos, pumunta po ako doon para makita yung anak ko. Expected ko din po na babalik sa akin yung anak ko. Pero, iba po yung sinabi sa akin. Sabi po sa akin ni Ma'am Charity, hindi daw po niya ibabalik yung anak ko kahit magkortihan daw po kami. Kahit okay naman po yung PICAR ko. Tapos ayun po, hindi ko na po naiwasang umiyak noon kahit na nakita po ako ng anak ko na umiiyak kasi nabigla po ako sa sinabi niya yun eh. Tapos po, noong December 2021, sinabi niya, nung sinabi niya sa akin na hindi niya ibibigay yung anak ko, nasabi niya rin po yung tungkol sa DBC na pinapapirma niya po ako. Tapos po noon, hindi na po ako nagpakita kasi natakot na po ako.
Ano po yung BBC o DBC?
DBC, Deed of Voluntary Commitment po. Tapos po noon, yun po yung unang, nakita ko po yung anak ko noong December 2021 po. Tapos, yung pangalawa po is etong April na po. Kasi, hinanap po nila ako sa barangay kasi hindi na daw po nila ako malocate. Tapos po nun, si barangay captain po is pumunta sa akin. Kasi po, sabi po nag-request po kasi si Gentle Hans na hindi daw po ako malocate. So, humihingi sila ng papel na nag-a-address po na hindi na daw po ako malocate. And then, na-curious po si Kap, bakit di daw po ako na-locate. Pumunta po siya sa bahay namin. Tapos, nung araw po na pumunta siya, wala po ako. Nung mga after 2 days, napunta po ako kay Kap na nag-confirm po ako na nandoon pa rin po ako nakatira. Tapos, ikunento ko po kay Kap lahat ng nangyari. And then, nung dumating po ako doon, nag-ano po si Kap, bakit hindi daw po ibinabalik yung anak ko. Parang pinranangka po sila ni Kap kung anong pwede ko pong gawin para makuha yung anak ko. Ang sagot po nila sa akin, may tamang proseso po dyan. May mga process daw po silang gagawin. And then, sinabi po nila na ang dalaw daw po is tuwing Huwebes nga po. Then nag-set ng schedule po si Kap na kasama po yung BCPC po ng barangay na nung Huwebes na yun. And then na-witness po niya kung ano pong ginawa sa akin ni Ma'am Charity nung araw na, nung Huwebes po nung April na yun. April ba yun? Opo, nung April. Yun po yung unang bisita po namin ng 2023 sa mga bata po. Kasama po yung BCPC. And then na-witness po niya paano po ako tinatrato ni Ma'am Charity, paano po ako dinuduro-duro ni Ma'am Charity. Tapos, ayun nga din po, napag-usapan na naman po uli yung DBC. And then, yun nga po, pagdating po ng May 5, napilitan po akong pumirma ng DBC.
Ms. Ross, so ang gusto niyo sabihin ay yung anak ninyo ay isa doon sa 127 na nailipat? Tama po?
Sir, 3 po iyon.
3 pa lang anak yon.
Opo.
Okay, silang 3 ay kasama doon sa 127 na ilipat. So alam niyo naman kung saan sila ngayon. Alam niyo?
Yes po, sir, kasi nung nabalitaan ko po na Ako po mismo ang naghanap. Nang nabalitaan ko po na nagsara po si Gentle Hands, nagkaroon po ako ng lakas ng loob na pumunta sa DSWD. At humingi po ako ng tulong para makuha po yung anak ko.
So the kids of Miss Rojas, secretary, are accounted for.
Madam Chair,
Are they separate? Are they together?
they're together, they're all together.
Okay, sige.
At si ma'am can confirm she gets to visit them while working on the PICAR of the new PICAR from the local government, which we believe should hopefully come out shortly so that we can reunite them.
May pikar na siya.
May PICAR siya pero lumang PICAR ho. Remember, 3 years na ho siyang nawalay, 4 years?
4 years po.
4 years na ho siyang nawalay, so we have to renew it because the parental capacity will have to be reassessed by the local government unit social workers again. All these 4 cases, the 2 that came with us today, because the 2 are sick or has sickness in the family, of the 4, 2 have been reunited accordingly. The other 2, we are trying to facilitate the PICAR, kasama po siya doon. Of these 4 cases, 2 had PICARs. 3. Pero yung isa ho, luma, yung kay ma'am, so tumutulong ho kaming ayusin. There's a process, Madam Chairman, we cannot rush it.
Ms.
Yes,
Melanie,
and
you have the
first
floor.
of all, I want to greet you po for good afternoon, Madam Chair and Senator Coco Pimentel. And I want to apologize for being emotional and bringing my son here because I just really want to feel in. I just really want to feel in the trauma that I'm really longing for my son. That for how many months he's been separated with me. That I felt that I am not a good mother, but I did everything to survive both of them.
Kung pwedeng yumakap ang komite, niyayakap po kayo ng komite. Would you like to tell a bit more yung naging karanasan nyo?
Yes,
Yung isang anak.
The story was started January 30. I was working and I was in a probationary period because I was a call center agent, and I have a nanny. My son has a nanny, and it's just because hindi po siya biglang pumasok, and that's the challenges and circumstances that I encountered when being a single mother. And as a mother, and entering motherhood is very difficult. So I did not know, and as a first time mother, I did not know, or I do not know how to filter the nannies or the maids that I really need to consider. What are the qualifications, and kailangan po pala medyo may edad na, because if you're going to get maturing, if you're going to get like 20 years old, and then if they're like having boyfriend po, mga ganyan, if pag nag day off, minsan they are controlled by their partners. So that's what happened to me. So nag day off po si Yaya Saturday, and Sunday po it should be dapat po babalik siya. And then, what happened is, bigla po siyang nag-message na hindi po siya, pabalik na po siya, bigla po siyang nag-message na hindi siya pinayagan ng boyfriend niya. So that was the time that since I asked someone, it's like an organization, it's tulong kay nanay, then they what do you call this? Then they gave me a list for a temporary shelter because I asked for a temporary shelter, and I chose Gentle Hands kasi po siya yung pinakamalapit po sa bahay ko, because I live there in Maginhawa and they were located at Project for Quezon City, so I can visit my son regularly. So para po hindi ma-detach sa akin si Billy. That's what I'm trying to do. Pero po what happened is when I'm trying to visit my son the first week, parang for me it's so painful na parang pagbawalan ako for how many years I'm taking care of my son, even though I'm alone. I strive hard, I've strived so hard, working so hard for my son to give him a better future. Pero po, ang nangyari po kasi, the time that I was trying to visit my son, he restricted me. And in fact, there is one social worker that he even told me that kahit humarap kami sa korte, hindi ko makukuha yung anak ko. So it was very alarming for me na sasabihan mo ko ng ganyan. And then I'm not an idiot for me para sabihan mo ko, I know my rights. I am the mother of this child and I will do everything for him.
Social worker, Miss Melanie, ng Gentle Hands or ng
Yes
DSWD?
po, social
Gentle
worker,
Hands.
yes. The second time that I was trying to visit my son, because there was no concrete agreement that anong oras at anong araw po, wala pa po kasi silang binibigay na paper sa akin that time. That paper with na may nakalagay po doon, kasi nilagyan nung kinuha ko yung paper, nung pinapirmahan po sa akin, wala siyang nakalagay. And the social worker told me na wala po silang ilalagay doon. So I signed it. But then what happened is nung second time na bibisitahin ko si baby na hindi po nila pinakita, it was February 4. May nakalagay na po doon, kasama ko yung policewoman na nakita niya, inabot sa akin yung paper that the mother is under great stress. And para sa akin po, it was alarming para sa akin na nilagyan mo ng problem presented na hindi ako na without my consent. Without my consent, nasasabihin niya sa akin, I'm under great stress, where in fact, I was asking for a help. That if I can place my son here for the maximum period of time of 1 month because I was waiting for my maternity leave. Yun po yung unang instances na nangyari. And then tumagal na po siya ng tumagal. I reported to the DSWD regarding about their protocols and visitation because I was really concerned about my son and me detaching that I will be detached to my son. So para sa akin po, para kung ganyan ang gagawin nila, kukunin ko na lang po. Sabi ko po doon sa kanila, 1 week pa lang po to. So I processed all the papers. 1 week pa lang. So I got the PICAR March 1 po. So talagang inasikaso ko po ng inasikaso. By the time, hindi na po ako nakapasok ng work. It's just because I'm processing all the papers of my son to be released. Tapos ang dami na pong hiningi na charity graft sa akin. And even though she was trying to involve my parents in our province, where in fact I'm telling to her that I'm already in my legal age. I've been living alone independently since when I was 14. I have all the proof that I can manage myself and I can handle myself alone. Yun po.
Salamat din ng marami, Miss Melanie. May tanong ka ba?
Kailan niyo po nakuha yung son ninyo? Anong date po?
Ano po, May 26 po. Right after the raid of DSWD, that's why I'm very thankful to.
Basta so nakuha nyo na siya from the DSWD na pala.
Yes po.
From the DSWD. So since what date did you give your child to Gentle Hands?
January 30 po.
30.
Yes po.
So of this year po yan lahat.
Yes po.
So 20. Okay, so January, February, March, April, May. So 4 months kayo halos na
Yes,
nahiwalay. And DSW. Yun na, balik din ako sa question ko eh. Parang andali niyang i-turn over yung sarili niya anak, tas ang hirap kunin. So I think we should, because ano ba ang takot ng child caring agency na sila naman ang makasuhan when they prematurely return a parent's own child?
May protocol
Is that
po.
the-
Bago natin balikan si Attorney Balahad, follow-up question din po kina Ms. Monina at saka Ms. Melanie. So, kailan po kayo nagdesisyon at paano nyo binuo yung desisyon na kasuhan ang Gentle Hands? So,
Yeah, I decided to file a case when I tried to be empathetic about all the mothers and children out there. Of course, ako po, actually, I've been thinking a lot of times na parang, mananahimik na lang po ako kasi nakuha ko na yung anak ko. But of course, I'm also a child advocate and child advocate. So I really don't want this to happen to any mother or any child. And as I have mentioned on my interview when I filed the case, it's every children deserves a better life with their parents. And as much as possible, because Charity Graph is always telling that hindi siya Filipino. Hindi siya Filipino na pag nagmakaawa ka, maawa siya. So I was really combative to her that, of course, because we as a Filipino, mapagkawang gawa po kasi tayo. And we really help each other. So yun po yung ini-insist ko sa kanya that I really need to get back my son. And he really needs to understand, instead of looking for my incapabilities and incompetencies, why she did not why she did not just empower me or encourage me to uphold my responsibilities since I'm working. Kasi yun lang naman po yung gusto kong makita eh. To be compassionate and understanding, because as a mother, as a single mother, there are a lot of challenges that we need to face. And it's just we call challenges. At hindi dapat pinagkakait yung karapatan ng ina na maging pinagkakait yung karapatan ng ina maging nanay sa anak.
Salamat, Miss Melanie. Kayo po, Miss Monina, paano kayo nagdesisyon na magkaso? Kailan po kayo nag-file?
Yes po, ma'am. Kaya po ako nagdesisyon, ma'am, kasi hanggang ngayon nag-i-struggle pa rin po ako sa anak ko. Ang tagal po, 4 years po, kasi hindi ko nakuha yung anak ko. Tapos, syempre hanggang ngayon, hindi ko pa rin nakakasama yung anak ko. Kaya nagdesisyon po ako para matigil na po yung ganyan na ginagawa po nila. Para hindi na po maulit sa ibang tao, ma'am. Yun lang po, ma'am.
Alright, Mama. Mukhang nalulungkot ka pa rin doon sa napanood mo na hearing. Bakit kaya, Mama, at nalulungkot ka pa rin?
Kasama NEP, hindi ko maialis na ako'y maluha sa kinasasapitan ng ilan nating mga kababayan. Na etong programa natin ito, sabi ko nga, magsilbing eye-opener.
Tama.
Magkaroon ng leksyon ang ating sambayan, lalo na ang pamilya.
Yon.
O kung nagkahiwalay at sobrang hirap na hindi malaman kung paano bubuhayin ang kanilang mga anak.
Yon.
Ang sa akin lang po, pwede bang bago ninyo ipampon o bago ninyo yan sa mga bahay kalinga o sa mga bahay ampunan,
Yun.
hindi ba pwedeng kausapin nyo muna ang inyong immediate relatives,
Yun.
ang inyong malalapit
Immediate
na
family.
kamag-anakan
Yun.
o yung mga kapatid ninyo na nakatatanda sa inyo na kung po pwede ba sa inyo muna yung aking anak.
Yun.
Pagbigyan nyo ko ng panahon na kung kaya ko ng buhayin, pwede bang mabalik uli o hindi ba mabalik, manatiling nakikilala ako ng aking anak na
Yun.
ako ang kanya magulang.
Magulang, ayun. So bagay, Mama, maraming gumagawa niya, no? Na sa pamilya mo na iniiwanan. Bagamat alam natin na minsan ay may nangyayari din na hindi maganda. Kasi minsan, lalo na pag lumaki ni bata,
Yun.
abay, ayaw na ibalik.
Lalo na kung yung bata ay nagkaroon ng magandang talento o kaya naging sumikat ng
Yun.
gusto. Naku, mahirap na makuha ng magulang.
Yun.
Actually, yung iba pa nga hindi ipinapakilala nung nag-ampun sa kanila kung sino
Yun.
kanilang magulang.
Yun ang mahirap
Yun.
doon. So, ibig sabihin, sa kamag-anak man o sa mga bahay ampunan man, may problema talaga. Kaya ang umpisa talaga dito, Mama, pag-isipan.
Yan.
Pag-isipan talaga muna. Una, kung mag-anak, magpamilya, at kung meron man, anong gagawin nung gumawa ng anak?
Yun.
No? Silang gumawa di silang mag-usap kung
Sila
anong gagawin.
mag-usap. Pero yun ang iwan, dapat i-shoot. I-shoot sa kulungan.
Shit,
Yun.
nakulungan. Okay. Alright. So, yan po ang ating tinakay na issue at kunting pangangaluskos ni Mamang Erwin Corpus. Ito po si Nep Castillo para sa buong bansa na nagsasabi, tatalakayin namin ang bawat issue.
At eto naman po si Mamang Erwin Corpus na sa bawat issue, mga ngaluskos naman.
Magandang araw, Pilipinas.
Yun